Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our fifth Thursday special event today. The successful job searches are focused on these four job areas. This is March 30th, 2023. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the CareerDFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just enter them into the chat window. For those watching on Facebook, please just enter your questions into the comment field. We'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. All right, well, today's topic is successful job searches focus on these four areas. So let me get the presentation up and going here. All right, so we're going to talk about the four areas of your job search to concentrate on. Just a little background about me. I've got 20 plus years experience in light manufacturing as a general manager and operation manager. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group meets every Friday morning at 9:30 Central Time via Zoom, and we are meeting in person. We've got a great speaker coming up tomorrow, and I'll tell you about that at the end of this session. And in 2008, I created a website called CareerDFW.org, a 501c3 not-for-profit organization to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. In 2012, I was invited to go to the White House Forum on Job Clubs and Career Ministries. It was sponsored by the White House Forum, the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. This was a great session to just meet other people from around the country who were doing the same kinds of things that I was doing. But one of the things I learned while I was there is nobody else had thought about doing something for their community like CareerDFW. They all had their little church websites or little organizational websites, but not thinking about the bigger good. And because of that, I, in 2012, also launched CareerUSA.org, a website to help those around the United States. CareerDFW is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. CareerUSA.org is a CareerDFW website. We have no full or part-time employees. Everything I've done over the last 14 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. CareerDFW survives on donations and book sales, so we appreciate it when you do land a job that you think about us and maybe offer a little donation to help us keep going. We also have a LinkedIn group. You're welcome to join the Career USA LinkedIn group, join the Career DFW LinkedIn group. You don't have to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to do that. We just crossed over 14,700 members in the Career DFW LinkedIn group. We started each of the groups when we started each of the websites. We're also on Facebook, so you can follow us on the Career DFW Facebook page. We also have a YouTube channel where all these videos get posted. If you subscribe to it, every time we post a new video, you'll find out about it. We've got over 480 recorded videos. This video will be up there later this afternoon. So the four areas to focus on in your job search. There are resumes, LinkedIn, interviewing, and networking. I think you've got to get your resume done first. Once your resume is done, then you can populate your LinkedIn profile. Once you've done that, you've got to remember that your resume and your LinkedIn profile aren't going to get you a job. All they do is they get you a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills is what's going to get you your next job. And while you're doing that, you're also going to be networking this entire time. So let's take a look. What I'm going to talk about today is sort of the tip of the iceberg. I'm just sort of briefly going to talk about each one of these topics. Hopefully throw out some things that you may have heard, maybe haven't heard, just something we'll keep going. If we had a lot of time, what I could talk about is what you can't see below the water, but those are a lot of the videos that we've got posted on the Career USA YouTube channel or other speakers we have coming up soon. All right, so first let's talk about resumes. One of the things I notice is that people get analysis paralysis. They tell me, and it's amazing, these stories I'm going to tell you all come from my Friday group, but there was this lady who was coming, and like 3 months into the job search, I asked her, I said, so how's your job search going? Well, I'm still working on my resume. And I was just like, well, what are you working on? Well, I'm not sure about the wording and how I want to do it and what I'm really looking for. I mean, she was caught in just a quagmire of not being able to get herself going here. So one of the things I recommend is, do you have a master resume? What is a master resume? A master resume is everything you've done since college, include internships. You put all the details, the addresses, the exact dates, your boss's names and phone numbers. You put everything on there. Every bullet, every job has 6, 8, 10 bullet points, whatever accomplishments you've achieved while there. And then when you see a job description, you take that master resume, save it as whatever your naming convention is, save it as, and then you cut out everything that's not in the job description, because the point of a resume is to tell the person with the job description that, look, this fits, we're a match. So how are you going to do that? You've got to remember that your resume is just a hook. It's just a way to get them to call you on the phone. You've got to customize every resume you send out. If you don't do that, you're not helping yourself. If you have that master resume, it shouldn't take you that long to go through and customize it, because you just delete the things that are unimportant. But it is important that you customize it to let somebody know, because when a recruiter's looking, they're going to spend 7 to 10 seconds looking at your resume, and if they don't see the match, they're on to the next one. You've got to be sure to keep the details in the job description. I'm sure you've done a lot of really great things out there, but the things you've done out there are not important if they don't talk about them in the job description. If they're not asking about it, you don't need to mention it. Now, when you get into an interview, you can tell a star story from one of those other things you've done, but you want to make sure that your resume just makes so they can see that connection. Do not, for every bullet point you have on your resume, you need to have details. You need to have dollars, percent, or number on there. And you need, because I need to know that, I need somebody who can sell, $1 million worth of stuff a year. If you show me you can do that, great. Don't let your job description, don't let your resume read like a job description. Give me results. Results sell. Do not blindly send out a resume. Do not post your resume on LinkedIn, because what are you doing? You're posting a generic resume. You're not posting the details. Your LinkedIn profile should be more like your master resume, with a lot of the details of what you've done. Consider a one-page bio. A one-page bio is an extremely effective tool to use it as a promotion piece to tell somebody who you are and what you do. A one-page bio can be used in many situations. There's a great book out there called Be Sharp. Make sure if you do it, get the second edition, as the second edition has like 30 different bios in the second half of the book. This is Minna's bio over on the right-hand side, but hers is more like an ad slick, because beside being an executive coach, an author, a public speaker, she's also a coach trainer. She has training classes that she runs. So this is more of an ad slick to tell somebody who it is, what it is you do. This is a great networking tool, because this is a high-level document. It doesn't get into the weeds of a job description. It's one page, and it tells somebody what it is that you can do for them, or tells somebody who you are. All right, so let's talk a little bit about an ATS system, applicant tracking system. You've got to be very careful when you're applying for a job on an ATS. You do not want to use any special characters or any special formatting. There are well over 300 different ATS systems out there. You've got to be careful that you submit a resume that's going to be plain enough for every ATS system to read it. You never know what it is they're going to read. Do not use the header or the footer section in Microsoft Word or any other program. You don't want to use any kind of template that has certain formatting and boxing and stuff, because an ATS system will not be able to handle that. I've heard from recruiters that I get a great resume. I love what this person is, but their header information, they must have put their contact information in the header and there's nothing there. I can't read it. So just be very, very careful how you do that. You've got to make sure that the keywords align to what's in the job description. You know, I always recommend when you get that job description, get a yellow highlighter and sit there and highlight out what the keywords are, and then go to your resume and do you have those keywords in your resume? Because an applicant tracking system is a keyword match. It's how do I'm looking for this, do I see this in your resume? One of the things you need to be very careful about, you know, that every bullet point, you don't want it to read like a job description. You want it to, you've got to focus on results and accomplishments. So I love playing the so what game. Read your bullet point and then say, so what? And if you can't tell me what the result is, you need to add something. You need to reword it, because I'm looking to hire somebody who can solve my problems. I need to see that you've solved those problems wherever you're at. And if I can see that you've done what I need done, what I need somebody to do, I'm going to call you up. Be sure to, I think you should use action verbs to start every bullet with. I think that you want to make it a little exciting. So just, you can Google action verbs and, you know, start your bullet points with that. Improved, analyzed, achieved, just something, make that the first word. Remember, recruiters scan your resume. They're not going to be reading it in any detail. All right, some common resume mistakes that we see over and over and over again are spelling or grammatical errors. Think about it. A recruiter has 100 resumes to go through. They need to find 5 to 10 that they're going to pass on to the hiring manager or to make that first round of phone calls. What are they looking for? They're looking for somebody who matches. And why can I throw your resume out? Oh, you have a spelling mistake. You have a grammatical error. You've got the wrong tense being used. Something. They're looking to just cut things out. Maybe they went to University of Texas in Austin, and you're an OU graduate. Just because of where you went to OU, they may go, nope, I'm not going to hire an Okie. So, you know, you never know what it is. Every recruiter looks for things a little bit different. So you've got to make sure your spelling is correct, grammatical errors, there aren't any of those. Be sure to use a professional email address. No, Dan loves kitty cats at gmail.com. You know, that's not going to help anybody. Or, you know, Texas alumni at, you know, gmail.com. It's not going to get you a job. You want to have something professional. If you have an AOL account, that tells people you're OLD. So, you know, get a Gmail account. That's what everybody's using, Gmail. Or, you know, an Apple email account's fine, but, you know, don't use one of those old services like Juno and AOL, and even Yahoo tells people you're in your 50s and 60s. Failure to demonstrate and quantify results. We've talked about that. Your bullet points have to have some you've got to tell me what it is you've done. If you don't tell me what successes you had doing what you're supposed to do, why should I hire you? And then if your format of your design is too elaborate. My daughter was laid off from IBM a couple of years ago. She's a UX designer, meaning a user interface. What you see on the computer, she lays that stuff out for the programmers to put together. And so she spent, you know, a couple of weeks, and she was formatting her resume, and she had it all cute with yellow squares and red triangles and blue squares and whatever, or, you know, rectangle, whatever. She made it very artsy. Well, thank goodness, number one, kids don't listen to their parents, so my advice didn't matter. But thank goodness IBM gave her a professional recruiting or professional placement service to help with there, and they got her to format her resume into what we recommend and what, you know, I recommend, and that's what she used to get her next job with. So, you know, nothing too elaborate. No, you don't have to put a little telephone next to your phone number. You don't need to put a little mail next to your email address or anything like that. Keep those things very, very simple. All right, so we talk about resumes on the first and third Thursdays every month. So a week from today, first Thursday of the month, we're going to talk all about effective resumes. We have different speakers who talk about it. They all talk about sort of the same thing. We'll share a common template that we like. We'll share action verbs. We'll share all sorts of stuff that you're interested in. It is going to be live on the CareerDFW Facebook page. You can check the calendar for that event and other events that are coming up. All right, the second area I want to talk about is LinkedIn. So you've got your resume done. Primarily, you've got your master resume ready to go. Once you do that, everything else should fall in place. So we're going to talk about LinkedIn now. So on LinkedIn, as of January 2023, here's just a little bit of data. 95 job applications are submitted every day on, or every minute on LinkedIn. 10 million people plus use the Open to Work banner. 50 million people a week use LinkedIn to search for jobs. There are 6 people hired every minute on LinkedIn. There are over 61 million companies listed and over 120,000 schools. There are just over 900 million people who are on LinkedIn, probably around 190 to 200 million are in the United States. So on LinkedIn, you've got to have a profile that's fully developed and up to date. So what do we mean by up to date? You've got to make sure that you've got a couple endorsements, or not endorsements, but a couple recommendations from 2021, 2022, 2023. You want to have something current. You've got to make sure you've got your current job on there, whatever that is. Just take the stuff from your master resume and populate it. Now, here's one of the things I hear all the time from different people. Some people say, no, you just want to put a little bit on LinkedIn to whet their appetite to make them call you, or you can put more. You know, I mean, you may have 8 or 10 bullet points on each job that you've put on your master resume, but pick 3 of the top, pick the top 3 and list those on your LinkedIn profile. You know, does your profile tell a company how you can help them? Remember, it's not about what a company can do for you. It's what can you do for that company? They have a problem. You're a problem solver. What problems can you solve that they have currently going on? Can someone reach out to you easily? You would not believe the number of profiles that I view, and I can't get hold of anybody. I look at profiles every day, and they have nothing in their contact information. They have nothing in their about section. Remember, your contact information, fill out that contact section, is only visible to first-degree connections. So if you're not a first-degree connection, you're not going to be able to see the contact information. That's why I recommend that you put your phone number and your email address, in addition, in your about section. Everybody can read your about section, okay? This makes it easy for somebody to pick you up. A recruiter's looking for the easiest step. What do they want to do? The first easiest thing they want to do is pick up the phone and call you. The second thing they'll do, if they have to, is they'll send you an email to your personal email account. The last thing they want to do is use an InMail from LinkedIn, because less than 10% of InMails are responded to on LinkedIn, because a lot of times you don't have your InMails going to your email address. They just sit there unless you go check your LinkedIn account. So put your phone number and email address. If you don't want your phone number on LinkedIn, get a Google Voice number. Google Voice numbers are free. And when you do that, then you can have that number on posted, and then you have it just forward that any phone calls or text messages going would get forwarded to your personal cell phone. You've got to make sure that you have a focus statement in your title. You've got to tell somebody what it is you do, that you're an experienced Java front-end engineer, you're a talented marketing brand manager. You've got to let people know what it is you do there and make sure it's not your last job title. So here's a look at my profile just for a second. What I want to point out is I've actually built my email address and my phone number actually in my banner. I use a word cloud in the middle that came off of my resume. I promote my book because that's what I'm always promoting my book. But look down at my job title underneath my name. Accomplished, starting out with an action verb, manufacturing manager, operation manager, general manager. Those are titles from the Open to Work section on LinkedIn. If you're the chief people person at a company, there's no chief people person. That's not really a job title. You're a director of talent acquisition, you're a director of human resources, or some other title like that. Use the generic titles. This section down here, talking about manufacturing manager, operation manager back here, this is the #1 searchable field in LinkedIn. So when a recruiter is looking for somebody, they're going to type in what it is they're looking for, and they're going to want to see that your job title matches. Very, very important. You have up to 220 characters here, so make it easy. You can put 3 or 4 job titles about what it is you've done. All right, LinkedIn, you've got to have a professional email. We've talked about that. No Dave Loves Kitty Cat, it's at gmail.com. Have, Dave Smith, PMP at gmail.com. And you've got to list a largest city state. So here's a map of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and there's lots of little cities around: Lucas, Justin, Boyd, Crawley, Mansfield, Lancaster, Combine, Forney. You want to be sure to list, in this case, list the DFW Metroplex, list the Atlanta Metroplex, list, what the New York City Metroplex, whatever closest area or closest major city you live in, because from a searchable standpoint, people are going to be searching for somebody who works in the DFW area, not somebody who works in or who lives in Justin, Texas. Always send a personal note with a LinkedIn invitation. Always, always, always. Personally, I do not connect with anybody who doesn't send me a personal note, because why should I connect with you? I don't know why I should connect with you. You haven't told me. If you want to connect with me today, please send me a note. You saw me here today on this presentation. Jeff, I don't like your beard. Jeff, I love your blue shirt. Whatever, just send me something. Because the nice thing about this is that if you contact me in a year from now looking for help or something, I can, when I look up there, I'll see how we've communicated in the past, and I'll know where we first met at, where we first talked at. So always send that personal note. It's very, very important. Now, this is on an iPhone. This is an iPhone screenshot if you want to connect with this person. Now, I think they've changed that more, where they see that red arrow in the middle of the screen. I think they've changed that to a little hamburger, a little 3 dots. So, we talk about when you see a blue connect button, I haven't mentioned it yet, but when you see a blue connect button, it always allows you to send a personal note. That's true on a PC or Mac. On your phone, though, don't click on the blue connect button, but you want to click on more. And when you click on more, then it will come up with personalized invite, and you can then send that personal connection. So even on a cell phone, a tablet, whatever device you're using, you can always send that personal note. So when you're looking at somebody's profile, sometimes you'll see a whole screen of other people you may know, or people, similar. If you see a white connect button always sends that generic invitation, okay? So if that pops up, click on the person's face. It'll take you to their profile. When you're on their profile, you can then click on the blue connect button, and that will send a personal note. Except if you're on your cell phone or iPhone or Android, be careful of that. Personally, I don't like the app, the LinkedIn app. I like the PC version, because on the PC version, you can do everything, or PC or Mac version, you can do anything. When you're using the apps, each app is written for Apple and a separate app written for Android, and they may not have all the features that you're looking for. So just a reminder, always click on that blue connect button. All right, you've got to get your your profile to achieve all-star status. You have to have a current position, a location, an industry, what industry you're in, a summary statement, which is the about statement, at least 5 skills, education, and a photo. Have a good-looking photo. Oh, wait, current position, I'm unemployed. What do I put down for my current position? Here's what I recommend you do for a current position. Create a new position. What you're then going to do is put in 2 or 3 job titles that you're interested in. For the name of the company, put your phone number and email address. And then in the description, list 2 or 3 bullet points of accomplishments that you've had. And the very last, the fourth bullet point, the last bullet point should be, how can I help your company? Feel free to reach out to me. Open the new opportunities and put your phone number and email address a second time. So this way you've told somebody you're looking for a job, but by having that current job, even if you're unemployed as a current job, it moves you up in the rankings, okay? When you get that next job, you just delete that and put in whatever your next job is. So let's talk about photos for a second. Here's a bunch of photos. The photo, I'm going to start in the upper left-hand corner. The photo's sort of washed out because it's brighter behind him and those trees just to make it. I mean, it's a good photo of him. He just took it with the cell phone, but it's hard to see. It's very washed out. The next one over in purple, fine for Facebook, but not for LinkedIn. It's a very busy background. The third photo over, the lady sitting in the yellow chair, the goldish chair. I would zoom in more. I want to see people from their shoulders up. I'm not interested in seeing a full body shot or something long. The photo right above my head, that's Gail. Is it Gail him or Gail her? No husband-wife pictures. This happens to be Gail her. It's this one right here. This is the Gail whose photo it is. But, you know, put a picture of just you, but, you know, just so we can figure out who you are. Down here in the lower left-hand corner, all the way across, lower left, the open to work. He's got the open to work banner on there. That's great, but he's too far away and the background's too busy. Zoom in. I can't see your face. Listen, I'm good with faces. I'm not good with names. So if you were to reach out to me and we had a conversation, I'd remember your face. I probably wouldn't remember your name. It'd be very hard. But if I see your name or your face pop up, I'll go, oh, that's who that is. And I use LinkedIn to do that quite often. The next two photos, the one in the bottom middle and the bottom left, or bottom right, just right here next to me, yeah, right there. Both really great photos. Black and white is fine. One of the things I like is both of their shoulders are turned in to LinkedIn. So if your profile is all down here, you want to make sure that people can see you. You know, it's just a little pet peeve, but if you need to, flip that photo over so you're facing into your profile, because your photo is going to be in the upper left-hand corner. LinkedIn, you've got to make sure that you've the job title that you're applying for is in your headline, which is that line right underneath your name. Very, very important, because if you don't do that, you're not going to get that match. If you're open to new opportunities, use the open to work banner. Now, when this first came out about a year ago, people were like, I don't know, should I say something? Should I not say something? Here's why you want to do it. If you're currently unemployed, or you're working at a company and your company, you'd be okay letting everybody know that you're currently looking. Put the open to work banner on there. Less than 50% of recruiters pay LinkedIn for the full-blown recruiting package. If they don't pay for the recruiting package, they are not going to see that you're open to work if you only open it to recruiters. By putting this banner on here, you're letting everybody you know, every contact, everybody you know that, oh, you're open to work. Oh, Jane, we used to work together 8 years ago. You were a great employee. I didn't know you were out looking for work right now. We may have an opening here at our company. Let's talk. Okay. So put it on there. There's no, listen, most everybody's been unemployed at some point. Put it on there that you're open to work. Let people know. In your about section, you want to make sure that you're talking about keywords from your profession, and be sure to include your contact information. I talked about that before. You want to make sure your contact information in there, because if we're not a first degree connection, you can't reach out to me. You're not going to be able to see my contact information. So this is an overview of your career, written in first person, no more than 3 lines max per paragraph, because people don't read a block of text. In your experience section, you've got to have your job title. If you have an unusual job title, then add a job title used in the industry in parentheses. Like my first job I had out of college, I worked at the University of Louisville Medical School. I was an electronic AV Tech 1. That didn't tell you anything. What I actually did was I was a videographer and I was an editor. I was videotaping medical procedures and editing them for the doctors. So, I put in parentheses, that's what I did. And then be sure to include a description of your duties, including keywords from your profession. You've got to have your education listed. And if you haven't graduated yet, just put down expected graduation in 2024, or put down, you obtained, 80 hours towards the degree. You don't have to put the expected graduation date. Any awards, certificates, any professional development, if you've written books, if you've got patents, LinkedIn has room for you to add all that information on LinkedIn. Your skills section, you've got to have at least 3 skills listed. You can have up to 50. In the skills section, that's that place you can be endorsed. I think that's a bunch of hogwash. I wish they'd get rid of it, because people endorse me all the time for things and I don't know, they never worked for me. How do they know what I'm like? So, it didn't make sense. But you do need to have skills that your top 3 skills are what's visible. Nobody opens up all of them. Sometimes recruiters do list, when they put in a couple job titles, they may list 2 or 3 skills that they're looking for. So that's why it's important that you list, up 45 or 50 skills, so that you may be able to be searched better. Like I said, your top 3 skills, what you think are most important, you need to move to the very, very top, because that's what's going to be seen on your profile. And then recommendations. You've got to have a couple recommendations. They need to be from coworkers, former bosses, current bosses, whatever. You want to have 2 or 3, preferably from 2021, 22, 23, things that are current. If you have recommendations from 2015, 14, anything in the teens, you might as well delete those, because they're pretty much useless. A couple settings you want to make sure you have. You want to turn off people also viewed. I'm sure you've looked at people's profile, and over on the right-hand side, it says people just like, people also viewed. And these people, 10 people, are just like the person's profile I'm looking at. Why do you want to promote somebody else? Turn that off. When you go to your security and settings, it's under visibility, the very first field. Just scroll down, you'll see people also viewed. Turn that off. You do want to turn on, let recruiters know that you're open to new opportunities. Okay, and fill that information in. You can pick 5 job titles. You can pick locations. You can pick remote, hybrid, in-person only, full-time, contractors, all sorts of options. Go and fill that out. Be sure to follow any company you're interested in. If you're interested in working at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, when you call them up, when you've searched for them, click on the follow button, because when you do that, one of the things you should follow every company that you're interested in working for. And the reason being is that when a recruiter uses the recruiters that pay LinkedIn and use the full-blown recruiting package, they'll put in, I'm looking for a production manager and a couple skills, and they hit run. And then when they do the search, let's say 100 names come up. They're in some order. We don't know what that is, but the one with the best search, the best match should be at the very top. But one of the things they have across the top of their screen is people who follow our company. So if they're working for DFW Airport, they'll see that, of the 100 people who came up in my search, 14 people follow DFW Airport. I'm going to look at them already first, because they may, if they fit the bill, they already know what we do. Okay. On LinkedIn, one of the options a recruiter has, and one of the things that will move you up in the status, is showing some activity. Okay. Every week, you should post one thing. Now, it can be something you wrote, or it can be something that somebody else wrote, and you you bring it in from an outside source, like from Google or any place else. You bring that feed in. You want to share something with a comment. If you share something with a comment, you've got to use 12 words for the maximum maximum points, to get moved up. It used to be 8 words. Apparently, at the beginning of January, they flipped it to 12. So they want a nice, when you comment on, you just can't say nice article or thanks for posting. Thanks for posting. I really learned a lot about this article. I agree with what you said, or something like that. You can share something. If you want to share it with no comment, that gets you less points. And then the least amount of points you can get is just to like something. But you should like something 3 to 5 times every day. We'll go through your news feed and just see and go, oh, I like this article. You can just like a couple articles every day. Spend 10 or 15 minutes a day on LinkedIn in the morning, and then you're done with it, unless you're doing some more research. You always want to reply to any LinkedIn in-mail or connection request. You don't have to connect with them. You can just say thanks, no thanks. But if they send you a note, respond, even if you're not interested. Anytime anybody tries to sell me on LinkedIn, I just unconnect with them. I don't connect, they're not part of my network anymore. But, connect, because LinkedIn keeps track of those people that are trying to make that connection. So we have a LinkedIn presentation we do every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock Central Time. We have different people. We actually have a special guest speaker coming up this coming Tuesday, who's going to talk about LinkedIn. We are live on Facebook. You can watch us on Zoom link. If you're not, you can get the Zoom link off the CareerDFW, Career USA calendars. And most of the meetings, as long as our speakers allow it, they will post their video. We post the recorded video so you can go back and watch it later. All right, the next thing we want to talk about is interviewing. All right, so your resume, you got your resume done, you filled out your LinkedIn profile, it's robust, you've got lots of detail. Like I said, we could talk about LinkedIn for hours and hours. Now we want to talk about interviewing. You've got to be prepared for an interview. Every bullet point on your resume should have a story. I recommend that you write them down. What I like to recommend is grab some index cards, okay? So I've got a bunch of index cards here. The other way so you can see them, a bunch of index cards. I put the bullet point at the very top, and then I write down STAR on the side, and I put down one line. Here is the situation. Here is the task. Here is the action I took. What did you do to be part of the solution? And then here is the result. Okay, what's on there? If you don't want to use the STAR method, you can use SAR, situation, action, result. There's also RAW, where you tell the result first, action, and why you had to do it. And then there's RATS, which is result, action, the task was assigned, and this was the situation. So write those things down. When you physically write them down, it makes that connection between your brain and your eyesight to remind what it is you do. Also, when you go for an interview, it's really easy just to take these around and you can go through and go, oh yeah, I've done that, I've done that. You can quickly scan through your STAR stories to be able to, for a good action, good result on your thing. Write them down. You've got to keep your answers to 45 to 60 seconds. Back in the day when people were having in-person interviews before COVID, it used to be you had 2 minutes. You don't have 2 minutes anymore. A minute really almost too long. 45 to 60 seconds. So that's why short and sweet, but you can always say at the end of it, would you like to know more details? So I can tell you more details if you'd like. Or if there was a 5-step process, I'm going to talk about 2 of the 5 steps that we took to get this thing done. So you tell them short, and if they'd like to know more. Be prepared in an interview, be prepared for the following questions. Why do you want to work here? I know a recruiter, and she'll ask this question to everybody. If you can't answer why you want to work at this company, you don't get moved on. How much did you make at your last job? Or the salary question, whatever it is. My answer that I love is, well, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, this position in the Dallas-Fort Worth market has a range of between the low 70s and the upper 90s. I'm sure that whatever your company is going to pay is fair and equitable. Would you mind sharing the pay scale? I love the words fair and equitable. Who's not going to pay fair and equitable? If they're not going to pay fair and equitable, do they even want you? I mean, you even want to work there? And then the last question is, why'd you leave your last job, or the job before that, or the job before that? Some interviewers, they get hung up. Why'd you leave this job? Why'd you leave that job? I had an interview years ago for a company that was going to build a manufacturing facility here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I met with the director of human resources, the president of the company, and the manufacturing manager who I'd be reporting to. And all they did is they started to bob my resume and really said, so why'd you leave this job? And then next one, why'd you leave this job? And then why'd you leave this job? It wasn't about what I did, what I accomplished. They just wanted to know why I left every job. Worst interview I ever had. When you go interview, I love this. This is Ron's 10+1 method. You always want to have 10 questions ready to ask. You want the interview to be a conversation, not an inquisition. And you've got to start out, that first question has got to be asked right after the tell me about yourself story. So, just, if you don't mind, what was it, I'm sorry, after the tell me about yourself, what are you going to say? You're going to say, listen, could you tell me, I looked at this, I looked at your job description. You've got a lot of things you want. What are the 3 or 4 most important things I would have done if you hired me and I got an A+ on my interview, in my review in 6 months, or something like that? What are the most important things that you need me to accomplish off this resume? How can I help your company? What can I do for you to solve what are your 3 or 4 most biggest problems you need me to solve? And then the very last question, that +1, is ask for the job. Remind yourself at the end of the interview, what are the next steps? How do I compare to the ideal candidate? I don't care how I compare to the other candidates. How do I compare to the ideal candidate? And then, what's the next step? Who will be reaching out to me? If I don't hear back from you within, 8 days, is it okay if I call you? And I will, and then do that. So, that's the end of it. Try to get half those questions answered during the interview, and the last half at the end if they ask for you to have questions. When interviewing, always be sure to find out what the next step is going to be. Be sure to express even greater interest in the position. Referring back to your opening statement, you told me at the very beginning you need somebody who can do X, Y, Z. I've done this here, I've done this here, and I would love to help your company succeed and grow and do that kind of stuff. And be, and ask to be, advance to that next step. Some common interview mistakes: forgetting to take credit or explaining your contribution. There's no I in team, but when you're being interviewed, they're not hiring the team, they're hiring you. So you want to say, my role, I was responsible for doing this. My role was to complete these tasks. You never want to speak negatively in an offhand way about a previous job, coworker, or boss. No matter how bad it was wherever you worked at, I learned a lot, but it was time for me to move on. And then be sure to focus, and then don't focus too much attention if you're in a panel interview. You want to make sure that you spread out where you're looking at each person who's talking, just to, build that contact information. Somebody asks you a question, don't just focus on that one person for that whole question. If somebody else asks you a question, just focus on them. Be sure to mix it up when you're answering a question. The Dallas Pit Crew, you can get a free interview, totally free. You can just reach out to dallaspitcrew.com for more information, but they are meeting via Zoom. They're doing interviews via Zoom. I know they've got 4 or 5 scheduled for next week already. It's a pretty busy week out there right now. They also are meeting in person. So starting the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays of the month, so this next Wednesday, they will be meeting in person. I do know that they have 2 interviews already scheduled. And that's all they're going to do next week. So there'll be the 2 interviews. If you come, you'll be able to watch those interviews in person. There is no online option. So for the in-person ones on the 1st and 3rd Wednesday, you have to meet in person. For the 2nd, 4th, and 5th Wednesdays, we will be on Zoom. Yesterday, we had a great interview, a candidate who Chad interviewed yesterday, and there were like 30 people out there watching his interview. to see how he did and the kind of questions that are asked and stuff. So we will, you can get more information about that. So interviewing Wednesdays, we do this every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. The practice interview team, you can watch actual practice interview. We only do it on Zoom. We do not do it on Facebook on those days, just Zoom only. And that'd be the 2nd, 4th, and 5th Wednesdays of the month. You can do that. If you're living here in the DFW area, come join us in person. Watch an interview. It's really fascinating. And we have a better chance to get to meet you and know what you're looking for. One of the things that's on the Career USA YouTube channel is a 13-part workshop. Who knew there were so many steps and so much detail about practicing an interview? But if you want to be good at what you do, you really need to sort of take a look at some of these videos that are out there. So the first 5 lessons just talk about what do you do to prepare for the interview, a video interview, preparing for specific limited time interviews, how do you network, how employment recruiting works, analyzing the job description, a real important one here. The next 5 sessions talk about what do you do during the interview, how to demonstrate enthusiasm, how to ask questions, interview openings, closings, how to follow up with the recruiter after you're done. And then the last 3 topics are just a few advanced topics about interviewing that you can watch. So all these are available on the Career USA YouTube channel. And the last topic we're going to talk about just real briefly is all about networking. Don't spend all day in front of a computer. Yeah, I know back in COVID, that's what we had to do. But nowadays, you can get back out and meet people in person. 5 to 10% of jobs are found online. 10 to 15 are found using Recruiter. 75 to 80% of jobs are found through networking. So if you apply for a job online, you got to go to LinkedIn. Who do I know in that company who can maybe get my job description, my resume to the hiring manager or to the person in HR? When you're networking into a company, you have a 50% chance of getting an interview, where a non-referral has less than a 2% chance. And we talk about a non-referral, that'd be somebody who just filled out the ATS and they're in the black hole and they'll never be heard from again, okay? The chance of you matching a keyword search is very, very slight, 1 to 2%. So if you can get your resume to the hiring manager's desk or to the recruiter's desk, you've got a chance of getting a phone call. You've got to make sure that when you're networking, that you reach out to everybody you know. You need to let everybody know that you're looking. There's something called the prayer letter, and I love this. And there's a place on the website that I can show you in a second where you can go download all these documents. But this one's called the prayer letter, and you can send it out every 3 to 4 weeks. And the very first line in there, it says, I want to thank the following. I want to thank Joe and Sue and Mary and Stan for helping me over the last few weeks in my job search. Now you send this out blind copy, so nobody knows who else is on the list and nobody else knows if those people helped you or not, but you just make up some names. As a reminder, I'm looking for information, or I'm looking for contact and advice at the following company. If you know anybody who works at company A, B, or C and give them 3 company names that you're interested in, please let me know. If there's anything I can do for you, please feel free to reach out for me. So there's a lot more detail in the letter. This is a very short little synopsis on how to sort of add this together, but this is a great way. And you send this out every 3 to 4 weeks to let your contacts know you're looking. Listen, in sales, everybody's in sales. I know that joke that we're all in sales if we're unemployed, but in sales, if you have to reach out to somebody 3 to 6 times or 4 to 7 times before they're going to really remember. The first time they send this out, you may not hear from anybody. The second time, you may be back here from 1 or 2 people. But the 3rd and 4th times you send this out, you're reminding people, and they're then starting to think about, well, all these other people have helped Joe. Why don't I help Joe too? So just think about that. All right. Let's see what's up here next. So we do a networking seminar every 2nd and 4th Thursday. So this being the 5th, we're doing something special, but the 2nd and 4th Thursday, we've got a bunch of different speakers who all talk about LinkedIn or about networking. Here's a There's most of them. Well, we'll get out of the way here so you can see everybody. But they all talk about network. Networking is just getting out and talking to other people. Everybody here is going to talk about a different way that you can go through and do that. So join us in the second and fourth week. So we talked about the 4 areas of your job search you need to focus on: LinkedIn, interviewing, resumes, networking. We're doing those meetings every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 1 o'clock. Then every Friday morning at 9:30, we do the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. That group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007. And I'll tell you about our upcoming program in just a couple of minutes of what we're doing. All right, a couple bonus slides I want to just share with everybody. Like I said, on the Career USA YouTube channel, we've got over 480 workshops that have been recorded. So if you're looking for help for something right now, that's out there that you can go back and view. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist, because those 480 videos, it'd be all randomized. But if you click on playlist, then up will come a list of 7 different playlists. This one will go into the CareerDFW and Career USA and Career Tips one, that third one over. But if you don't click on the video down below where it says view full playlist, what will happen is when you do that, up will come a list of all the different titles in that topic, and you can search and find whichever one. Just scroll down for the one that you want to go back and watch. Second thing is, if you're not early, you're late. If you get my emails, you know that that's a premise that I push on here. 5 minutes early is on time is late. You want to be early to your interview. You want to be early to meetings, any in-person meeting, because you have an opportunity to network with somebody. And I didn't come up with this 5 minutes early is on time. I think Vince Lombardi used to say that if you're not 5 minutes early to his meetings, you're late. And so, be there on time. On your emails, be sure to include a signature line with all of your details. On your PC, on your Mac, on your phone, you have to set it up. So just because you set it up on your PC or Mac doesn't mean that it's going to work on your cell phone if you're using those apps. Set it up on the app. I put all of my contact information here to make it easy so that anybody can reach out to me, even if I'm just replying with yes, no, sounds great. All that information is there, so if they want to pick up the phone, they can call me. Make sure your display name is correct. You don't want to be WSU Cougar 96. When I first got this, I went, no, wait a second. I don't have anybody who's 96 years old who's going to my North Dallas group, but I could have a couple Cougars. Oh, you know what? This was during March Madness a few years ago. WSU, Washington State University, happened to be playing, and they're the Cougars. She graduated in 1996. So just, this is something you don't want to do. Mike, the second one here, is somehow Gmail defaulted Gmail into his last name. He didn't even know it. So I sent him an email back on, Mike, look what your display name is. And he went and fixed it. So just be very, very careful. You want to make sure that your full name is down there, like you see those following names down there at the very, very bottom. If you know somebody who's unemployed, please tell them about CareerDFW and Career USA, 2 totally free websites. We don't collect any personal information. They're totally free to use. They're just there to help you in your job search. So please remember, join the CareerDFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, if you're not getting our emails on a daily basis, please send an email to Career USA, +subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. So that's my presentation. Let me switch over here to my other slide here. Let's see. I think there were a couple questions. Let me go back and get those real quick. Let's see here. That let recruiters know that it's only recruiters with the link in recruiting package. Yes, only recruiters. Well, I guess anybody could buy the recruiting package, but you wouldn't want to buy the recruiting package if you weren't a recruiter, because it gives you customized things that only a recruiter wants. If you're in sales, there's a sales navigator package. If you want to pay, there's I use the free version, but there is a version up $30 a month that a job seeker could use. It allows you to do more searches and sends a few more emails. there is a place on LinkedIn where you can find all the different things that each different scale goes through. Personally, I just use the free version. I think that's all you really need. All right, CareerDFW, Career USA, as I mentioned before, you're putting on training 4 days a week. Tomorrow morning, negotiations, closing the deal for what you're worth. Crystal Yates will be with us, and she's going to talk all about what it is you need to do and how you can negotiate when you're trying to close this deal out. Next Tuesday, as I mentioned, we have a special guest speaker, the not so hidden job market. And she's going to talk about LinkedIn, how to use it. DB Winky she has a LinkedIn website. She's a career coach. She helps people with LinkedIn all the time. It'll be her first time speaking with us on LinkedIn Tuesday. So join us next Tuesday. Next Wednesday, as I mentioned, LinkedIn will be in person only. So interviewing in person. We've got 2 interviews that are going to be scheduled to happen. They'll be at Christ United Methodist Church. It was at the corner of Parker and Coit in Plano, Texas. So if you live here in the DFW area, please just come to join us 1 to 3 o'clock. And there'll be no online options next week, but we'll be back online in 2 weeks. And then this Thursday, being the first Thursday of the month, we're going to talk all about effective resumes. And we've got a speaker who will share their things. We'll talk mostly about resumes for an ATS system and just some common resume practices. There are things that are very easy for you to do. If you'd like to join the CareerDFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join one or both. We have currently over 14,700 members in the CareerDFW group. You don't have to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join that group. It's just when I started the website, I started that group. And I will tell you this, probably 1 out of 10 people who join that group are recruiters. Why are they joining the group? Because they're using the free version of LinkedIn and they're trying to find you. So if you're going to join, make sure your profile's mostly complete. This session has been recorded. It will be on the CareerDFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. As I showed you before on the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist, and then down below, pick whichever playlist you'd like to do. Pick the view full playlist, and you'll be able to see all the topics there. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, you're welcome to join our mailing list. Join the Career USA mailing list. Just send an email to Career USA, the + subscribe at groups.io. Please remember, CareerDFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Everything I've done over the last 14 years is just to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us, and everybody. I hope it was very beneficial to you. Sue's saying, do you share the slides on your website? I do not, because I think that sort of without the presentation, it's a little bit hard to, without the words, you don't really necessarily get all the points that we talk about. But this presentation will be uploaded to the Career USA YouTube channel. You'll be able to go back and watch it there if you want to go back for more details. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow morning.